Hello everyone and welcome back to my podcast. My name is Darren Connell. This is Straight White Whale and this is episode 32. Thank you very much for tuning in. It means a lot. We've got a new sponsor this week, so I will give you some information. It's called Mr. Junk and it's ran by my friend Ross. Mr. Junk is a rubbish removal business. So see if you've not got a car and you can't take yourself to the dump for whatever reason, give Ross a phone and he will sort you out with a quote. He'll come to your house, he'll take away your junk, he'll take away your rubbish, garden waste, all that type of stuff. He's a good guy. I know him. I went to school with him. I used to buy gear off him. He's a good cunt. No, but all the information will pop up on the screen. He's a good guy. No wonder nobody wants to sponsor this fucking podcast. I'd suck his bang. I've sucked his banger, alright?
For a bag?
I've sucked his banger.
For a bag of coke?
Ross, you want to come in my house, take away a mattress? Walks into the house. The house is completely empty. And I did that. I'm going to suck your banger, mate. I sucked Angie's banger. I sucked the hair transplant banger. Your banger's getting sucked now. And he's like, mate, I've got Wayne's in a house now. Get your banger out. So if you need rubbish removed, get in touch with Ross.
Mr. Junk, right enough.
Mr. Junk. Aye, so
wow,
what a weird day it's been, mate. My fucking neck just locked up there before we went into the podcast studio, so I'm getting weird shooting pains in my neck. So apologies if I look like Quasimodo about to ring a bell to her. But then some people would say I look like him every week.
Mm-hmm. No me.
Thank you.
Definitely not
for
me.
Your kindness.
You stressed, mate?
Do I look stressed?
Just with the neck.
I am stressed, mate. I'm very stressed for this tour and things like that. I won't get too far into it, but you know, a situation like that after a 2-year lockdown, trying to run a show it's been frustrating. But the show's going ahead. I've sold tickets and I'm looking forward to tomorrow at Greenock. So I'm not too sure when this podcast comes out. If it's before Greenock, there's still tickets available. You can get tickets through, you know, walking up or on the link. And also I've got a support act. I've got Scott Agnew. He's my support act.
Nice.
I don't know if he's going to support me at all the nights because I'm trying to equally spread jobs for comedians that I love, and he's a comedian that I love. If it comes to it, I probably will get him to support most nights, but I would rather share the gigs with people because that's what people's done with me.
Share the love.
Share the love. I'll suck Scott's banger and all. He's a good guy. He's been there for me. He's done a lot for me.
He's one of the ones that would let you suck his banger as well.
I know, I was thinking that. That's the only time I've ever regretted saying that out loud because every other time's been a joke. See if I'd done that to Scott, here can I suck your balls, and cock would be in my mouth before I even get to the end of that sentence.
Scott's a good guy, but man.
Scott's a great guy. Have you done a podcast with him actually?
Aye.
Aye.
He did Brothers in Arms.
Yes.
Or did he? Was it Brothers in Arms? No, it wasn't. It was Podcast WC.
Yes, I just get deja vu there. I know that we really don't get guests, but like Scott is that funny and he's that good and he's got an amazing story that I probably would get him in as a guest to mix things up a wee bit.
Aye, he told a story in that podcast that's hilarious, man, about meeting with like oh fuck, right, I'm either making this, I'm not making it up, something about a priest.
Oh.
And or the guy had like some sort of mad priest thing, maybe he met him on Grindr and the guy asked him if he wanted to come into like a wee veil for the Virgin Mary.
Oh my God.
It was like, I think Jerry asked him what's the craziest fucking story, and he was like, oh, fucking shagged a priest.
Was he a priest?
I can't remember, mate. I need to go back and listen to that. You can ask him. You can ask him to tell you on Friday the story.
I always remember there was a priest up my granny's bit, Penny Lee, about 15 years ago. You know how there's always a young, cool priest that everybody loves? Oh, he's David. Oh, he's a handsome boy. He can play the guitar and he can speak Spanish. Well, David, or whatever his fucking name was, ended up on the front page in the record.
For fuck's sake. Okay.
Nothing illegal. He was basically fucking sticking dildos and all that up his arse. And I think he was doing it in the church.
Right.
And somehow he get caught.
Definitely a man of God then.
Aye.
Fuck's sake.
When you compare it to Catholic priests, it's actually not that bad.
No, mate. Fucking Catholic priest at my primary school, St. Thomas's, he was one of these, like, see, like, on like, the Sunday at Mass, all the women would be queuing up. Oh, he's such a lovely guy. Similar to that, like David, except he wasn't young. And it turned out that he was embezzling money. He bought a Porsche for the collection plate and he was shagging the housekeeper.
Man.
But you just get shifted to another church. And
That's
surely you'd lose your job.
horrible, isn't
See
it?
if your job is one, to be celibate, and two, not to steal money for the church, and you do both of them.
Aye.
Surely you lose your job, but no, you get shifted to another fucking hinky, get moved up to Springburn or something, mate.
Honestly,
Aye,
fucking probably know his face.
100%.
Probably walk past the cunt in the street.
Might have sucked his banger.
Maybe. See, that's the thing though. If I turn up at a gig and I've got a fucking mustard stain on my shirt, they'd be like, do you know what? He's riddled with mental illness. He's an alcoholic. Don't let him back in this venue. He can't gig here again. And then I need to email the fucking venue for 9 months in a row. I'm so sorry. I promise I won't turn up with mustard on my shirt. Please, can you give me a gig? You're right. We'll give you a gig, but it's in fucking Manchester. It's 6 minutes long and it's 4 fucking quid. Is that all right? Aye, that's all right. I'll just be a priest and stick a fucking dildo up my arse and get moved digs. Am I having a mental breakdown, man? I'm like cradling myself on the fucking podcast.
There's nothing worse than neck and back pain, mate.
Aye.
It's like toothache, neck, back. That's fucking brutal, mate.
Aye.
It's so brutal.
But the pain brings it. I think it's been funny. So there we go. How have you been, mate?
I've not been bad, mate.
Have
Not
you missed
bad.
me?
I have, extremely.
The weeks seem long without your touch.
Is that a lyric for a song?
It sounds like
It
it.
does, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Have you ever had a I know therapy kind of confidentiality, but have you ever had somebody that sat down and you've done that? This cunt is a serial killer. This cunt has ate a baby.
Nah.
Nah.
No, never. I've had people sit down where I'm like very concerned for them.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh fuck, like there was a guy, and we're not breaking confidentiality because I'm not naming names.
Mhm.
So that's the confidentiality agreement. Let's just say I once imagined having a client that so potentially they're not real, who was basically so far into conspiracy theory that their whole grasp on reality had been shifted. So they were doubting everything about themselves and the world. And they were on fucking edge, mate. On like that sort of like they were rocking. Their anxiety was so high. And that kind of can imprint on me where I'm like so worried for them that I'm like, no, I'm feeling fucking panicky and being in their sort of presence. But I try and just stay calm because if I'm calm, it tends to have a calming effect on them. But this guy, at the end of the session, I was just basically like, mate, you need to like come away from the internet. You need a detox because you don't know up for down, left for right, back for front now because you're questioning all this sort of COVID shit. And he was saying that it was like, really, he was like so angry that his friends wouldn't allow him to come round to their house during COVID.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID. And he was like raging and saying that this is like, and it's their fault and they've bought into this and it's a load of shite and blah, blah, blah. And kind of like, well, try to be the voice of reason here. It's not going to really work for this guy. So I just sat and listened and was like, how did that make you feel? And how does it make you feel like you're the only person that you know that knows the truth? This was the sort of idea. So I can be unnerved by people's sort of situations, but I've never sat down with somebody and been like, wow, they're a serial killer or like narcissistic personality disorders, like sort of in there. I've never felt that. I've somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe you.
Excuse me? So if a client was like, they're into sucking toes and all that, you'd be like, Bobby? I'd be like that to my therapist. I've got a pal, right, that's into sucking toes and crunchy soles on the table, and they're like, is it you? No, it's my pal. For my grand's bit.
For Butlins.
Darn, you're in denial. You just need to accept it. No, my grand, but I swear. It's mad how I've been addicted to TikTok, mate. Recently, the last couple of weeks, it's very addictive to the point that I've been unable to finish watching a film. So I'll start a film, put it on pause, and then I'll just get lost in TikTok. And it's like that guy you were talking about. We love a conspiracy, man. We talk about conspiracies quite a lot on this podcast. But there is some on TikTok that when you watch it, you're just like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's mentally ill people that are getting access to a phone that are looking at this stuff and then believing it. I mean, one of the ones that I seen the other night was a street lamp, right? The light on a street lamp. And there was like a reflection from the light on a window or something. So it made it look weird. And people are saying that's a UFO behind the lamp and all that type of stuff. Just like really basic, silly stuff. Is like the most, it's an alien or it's a UFO or mental, man.
Right, we're now in this sort of, I don't know, man, we're in this sort of like a time of not even sort of conspiracy. It's a weird, because conspiracy theories have been about since fucking the Romans and shit, you know what I mean? Like, it was a conspiracy theory that got Jesus crucified, if you believe that story. But how did, I don't even know how to put this, but we're in the realm of insanity now. Like, now that people can use phones to communicate with hundreds of thousands, even millions of people. Like, you've got clips on TikTok that have got hundreds of thousands. Like, your account's got millions of views. You could use that. You could absolutely fucking use that as like a platform of whatever you would want to do. But people are now spreading their insanity, and people that are also in the same category are finding this content, and it's giving them sort of confirmation that somehow like they're right, or, you know, instead of the healthy sort of questioning of your ideas that the reflection of a street lamp in a window is a UFO. Is that a healthy idea?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I actually feel weird watching some of it. Like, see, when I like watch it for an hour and then after it, I feel like I've got a hangover just watching all these kind of conspiracies about flat earth and all that. I feel rough after it, man. I'm like, that's frying my fucking brain. I don't believe it though.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes I'll go into some sort of like wee trance, and I'll be on Twitter. I don't do TikTok, and it's not some sort of like old, like that's for young people or any sort of pish like that. It's like, I think as the social medias evolve, they're becoming more addictive. So as I'm aware of that, I'm like, I'm already kind of a wee bit addicted to Twitter and Instagram. I need to manage it, right? It's no, I'm not addicted to it, but I like it so much that, see, if I'm not aware and I manage that, it gets out of order. But see what you're saying there, like sometimes like I'll put on a podcast on YouTube and it's my missus that wants to listen to it, and I'm not really that interested. So I'll just be like, fuck, I'll just go on my phone for like half an hour. It's all right, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you come out and you're like, what the fuck? And it feels like my eyeballs are burning, and it's like that. Then I get that sort of like a wee bit of a sort of low level sore head, like you're saying, a hangover. I think what's happening is that, especially with TikTok, every new video is another bit of stimulation. So as a hangover that you're getting, you're so stimulated, even if it's conspiracy theories that make you go, what the fuck is that? And kicks on your fight or flight, or something that just makes you think and your mind's turning over. Then the next video, it's like a bird with fucking tits. Yeah. And then the next video is like, oh, you know, like blah, blah, blah. It's funny. You're like bouncing from stimulation to stimulation to stimulation. And it's, your mind's basically like, see, if you find yourself having a hangover, your mind is basically like going to put that down. Like, I need to recover here.
Yeah. I've actually been, because there's a lot of things, I don't know the term for it, but there's like say there's a beautiful woman and she's in a bikini and she just does like a wee eye roll or something really simplistic to like this cheesy South Korean pop music, and it looks like a cartoon, but it's not a cartoon, and it gets like a million views, and it's like looking at a shiny key or something. You're like, oh, that's quite distracting, but you don't really do anything. But I discovered brown noise. Have you ever heard of brown noise?
No.
So you get white noise and rain sounds and stuff before bed. I've started listening to brown noise. It's fucking brilliant.
What's brown noise?
It's quite similar to white noise, but it's not as intense.
Right.
More peaceful. It's just the same.
Right. Let's see if we can get an example for that.
I was going to say something absolutely mental there that would probably get me cancelled.
I thought brown noise was going to be the sound of like shits hitting the toilet or something.
Can you delete that? What I said there?
Right, that's brown noise. So that to me sounds like a waterfall.
Yeah.
But it's like digital white noise, which is usually being brought down to.
Digital white noise is a bit mad. I remember listening to rain sounds one night, and honest to God, like 3 hours in, I was like, you're half awake, half asleep, and I was hearing like fucking people shouting and monkey noises and all that. I was like, what? Getting a bit mental. I think they've just left a recorder on in the jungle.
Right, aye.
Like real, actual.
So the voices and the monkey noises weren't in your head, they were in the recording.
I hope so. It'd be weird if it was in my head, but wouldn't surprise me.
It's just been a mic left in the rainforest. I do enjoy shit like that. I love that. Like if there's a thunderstorm, like pure downpour, which is, I don't know, it's weird. We've not really had much of that this year, have we? Usually you get like 2 or 3 proper fucking lightning and all that. I love opening the window up and just sitting and just being like, wow, fucking hell. And then also it's super relaxing. There's something about it. It's just super duper relaxing.
I love it.
I'm a big fan of it as well, mate.
Do you know anybody that's been struck with lightning?
I don't, no. You?
No.
I've been out playing golf during thunder and lightning and get told that was a bad idea. But I was just a wee guy. I was like up Harley Park.
I like that. Raining. I like that. I know, mate. Walking in the rain, and I used to love running in the rain. But Scottish TikTok is mental, but Scottish TikTok is another level. I've been asked someone asked me to play in a Scottish TikTok football match.
Really?
And I was like, nah.
I think that's class because your TikTok's only been there for what, 3 months or something like that?
Yeah.
And you're getting invited to events as a Scottish TikToker.
Mate, I'd done out of boredom, right? I was like, I don't want to just lie on the couch and watch another film, man. This is the story of my fucking life. So I decided to get my stand out, and I did a TikTok live stream. And at one point there was like 600 people in.
You kidding on?
No. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them weren't my followers. I don't know how a live works because there was Welsh people and stuff in.
Right.
Like it was just random. But it was a good laugh, man.
Were people talking to you?
Talking away, getting questions. I was making people laugh. Somebody must listen to the podcast and asked us about the acid story, and I told them the acid story. And then I think I did it for about an hour, and I was like, right, I'm fucking hungry, man. And this feels like a gig. Like I'm literally gigging, like getting gig sweats. But everybody was dead supportive, and I said, look, listen to the podcast, add me on Facebook. And
that's brilliant, mate. We should maybe do a TikTok live for here one day.
Do you know, that's a great idea, mate. That's a great idea. Why don't I do that the next podcast? We
could do it live, but record it and release it, obviously, so that we hit both platforms. Because I think that's a great idea, mate. Why the fuck not?
I'd love that. And if it goes well, we could just do it all the time.
Just start going live.
I can't say horrific things about brown noise though.
We would need to like rein ourselves in and just be careful. You knew that there though. So you were like, I don't know if I should say this. And then you say that. we'll leave this bit in, but we'll cut what you said out so that people could be like, what were they talking about?
Yeah.
But you knew you take
Yeah.
you take a risk with stuff like that.
I was
you?
being naughty.
Exactly. We just need to not do that.
I was being very playful, you could say.
Nothing wrong with that. But I was interested in your TikTok that you put out the other day with your audition.
Yes.
Right. So questions. Was that real?
That was not real.
Right. Okay. Good. So
That was not real.
It was funny.
Yeah.
See, to be fair, the fact that I'm asking that question's a good thing, because I was like, I don't know if this is real or no, and that's what we want for that. You know what I mean?
Most of the things that I post online, unless I'm saying I love a movie or something like that, is 95% of the time a bam up. Now, I posted that a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, and I remember doing it on a Monday. It was during Panto, when I was doing a Panto. Sorry. During Dundee, and I had a day off, and it was a piss take. For anyone that's listening, go onto my Twitter and watch it. It's a fake audition for Beauty and the Beast. And when you're an actor, you get a thing called a self-tape when you need to film it yourself in your house. So I did this self-tape audition of Beauty and the Beast when I set up the camera and I was trying to get the music off the laptop, but the laptop kept breaking and I just made it shite, but hopefully funny as well. And I went into Panto the next day, right, and see the producer and the director.
Mm-hmm.
The producer was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, what are you talking about, mate? And he's like, that Beauty and the Beast audition was pish. And I was like, what? And he's like, that was shite, mate. You shouldn't have put that online. And I was like, first and foremost, do you actually think that was real? Like, it was clearly a fucking bam up.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, oh, I never realised. And I was like, mate, I was like that with soup. Like, mental, the amount of people. I get that quite a lot, though. Like, people take everything I say online as face value.
Seriously.
And I'm like, fucking hell, man, how can... But don't get me wrong, the people that get it are like, that's funny.
Aye. I mean, it's a testament to your acting skills, to be honest. Because I was like, oh, that's no real. But then I was like, is this the outtakes for an audition tape? These went, fuck it, I'm going to fire this up on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then I watched it in your Instagram stories, and I seen the last bit where you were pure, is this on? And I was like, nah, that's taking the piss. But I was like, I still need to ask, you know.
Thank you very much. I take it as a compliment.
Aye,
I mean, I was wearing my brother's running jacket that was too wee for me. I was wearing a t-shirt with a label still on it, and my hair, it made me look like a fucking sex offender. So, aye. By the way, someone got in touch regarding last week's podcast, and they gave us some information.
Okay.
You know how we were talking about the snip?
Aye.
So when I said when you get the snip, medical term naspunk comes out, and you said, no, there is stuff that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out there is stuff that comes out.
Right.
And I did not know that.
Okay.
So when you go and get the snip, they burn something. See, when I thought you get this... See me, I'm a fucking idiot, right? When I thought you get the snip, I thought they cut your balls open and snipped a fucking something in your balls.
Right.
And then spunk wouldn't come out your knob. Imagine if I was a doctor.
the way that you framed that there was almost like a doctor.
Aye.
What we're going to do is, right, we're going to cut your balls open, cut a wee bit, and then this spunk's going to come out your dick.
So there's like a guy get in touch with me and says they burn a wee bit of your testicles. It does something to the semen.
Right.
And then they stitch you up. I think it's like butterfly stitches. You're in and out the Sandyford clinic within
You
like...
don't even go to a hospital?
Nope, Sandyford. And people wait in a queue, by the way. He also said, like, when people are there for sex checkups, sexual health checkups, they said the nurse came out and says, whoever's getting the snip, wait in this queue. And then they all wait in the queue for the snip.
Wow.
And then you go home, you're bandaged up, and that's it.
Fuck me, man.
You need to chill. I mean, obviously you're rough for a couple of days, but it's
Aye.
not like an operation.
Aye.
I thought you would get 6 weeks off fucking work or something.
Aye. Remember my dad telling me a story about my uncle, and I think this was probably 80s, so I don't know if it was quite as easy as what it is today. But he said that he went and get is that a vasectomy?
Yeah.
Aye, hysterectomy's the female, isn't it? They get that's getting your womb
Eggs.
removed.
All right, well.
And then like a vasectomy's, could be wrong on that, clearly me and Darren and the doctors here. But, he said that my uncle came out, walked down like a bit of a penguin walk with like a sort of like bandage in his balls. So like I was saying, this must have been like before they had the tech to just sort of go in keyhole or whatever and just do a wee fucking burn. And my dad says that all the way home he kept slamming on the brakes.
Oh, I couldn't handle that, man.
Imagine that, you just get an operation on your balls and then your brother was just pure, oh, sorry, like pure slamming on the brake. I fucking dick, man.
That's mad. I thought it was like you get a wee, you tie, how sometimes people can put a cherry in their mouth and tie a knot with it. I thought that was happening.
So I take it the burn one's the one that isn't reversible.
You can get a reversible
I'm
one?
pretty sure there's one that's reversible, isn't there?
Fuck that. I'm too lazy, man. I hope, see if I get hit with a bus and somebody looked at these notes. Scottish TikTok is mental. The snip in brackets spunk actually comes out, and then below it
I'd be like, what the fuck? What's the last one?
Random facts of the day. I don't know if this is true. Turkeys were once worshipped like gods.
Okay.
So I don't know how far back that was.
If that was true.
But you were talking about Jesus. You know Jesus was a real man. They don't deny that Jesus wasn't real, but what they're saying is what he done wasn't real. So they're saying he might have been like some type of fraudster or a magician or something like that.
Right. I don't think they've actually got any proof that he was actually real. I think that might just be to pacify, like mental Christians. I've looked at this. I had somebody that we both know sort of have, well, they were kind of like, Jesus was real. And I was like, right, tell me why. Why do you say that? I'm skeptical because I don't believe there's any proof.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, there's a census. Bullshit.
What's the census?
Like, the census, like the government send out a letter and they go, what religion are you? No, the census, we still do it. It's like the Romans had a census. And you Google it, mate, and it's so wafer thin. It's ridiculous. You're like, that's just that. Fuck off. Like, just the weird sort of thing that I put to it for me is that the Bible was written somewhere between sort of 50 to 100 years after the guy was supposed to existed.
I didn't know that.
Right? The lifespan of a human being at the time was like fucking 40.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you're talking like 2 generations after. Only certain people could read or write. Only the people like priests and, the kings and the princes were the only people that could read or write. Everybody else was just left to just, go on with their fucking life. How did they document this?
Yeah.
Why? How did they remember? We can't even get the story of World War II right, and we had cameras. We've got footage, everything that fucking happened, and we can't get the narrative right. So I doubt it. I'm open to what you're saying being a possibility. Maybe there was a guy that cut about claiming to be the son of God, but you could find 5 or 6 of them on Sucky Hall Street if you really wanted to.
Right now.
Aye.
Hand jiving to fucking the bin, dancing bin things. I'm Jesus. I've got a council house in Maryhill.
I'm going to just...
you fact checking?
Aye, about turkeys. The turkeys...
I suppose they get worshipped at Christmas now.
Get worshipped. Well, they get fucking murdered, that's for sure.
Worshipped out the arse. Sorry.
Aye, so they're saying that turkeys were once worshipped like gods, and this is history.com, so like History Channel, and it says turkeys these days are mostly seen as a vessel for stuffing on your Thanksgiving table, but in 300 BC, 300 years before Christ, The birds were viewed by the Maya as vessels of God and honoured accordingly. In fact, the birds were originally domesticated to play part in a religious ceremony. Prized players in Maya religion and culture, they were once coveted symbols of power and prestige.
Wow.
So you're right, mate.
Fuck being a turkey in 2022. Imagine that being on somebody's buttery piece with brown sauce in it.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking my great granddad was a god.
Who do you think we worship as a society? So when we look back, or when people look back, so that was 300 years BC, right? So that was 3,300 years ago, roughly. We're close enough to fucking 2022. No, like 2,322 years ago, right? Going by shit. We are looking back and we're like, they worship turkeys. Who do you think in 3,000 years they're going to look back and think that we were worshipping?
Technology, mate. Phones.
Aye. Money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all right what you said there, but I think South Park did a really good episode on like the witch trials, the Britney Spears episode with
It's Britney Wouch.
the
That
way
episode.
the way that what they called journalists react to celebrity and the way that we react to like public meltdowns and stuff. I believe that that's a form of like a witch trial or, you know, a gladiator entertainment type of thing. It's just modernized.
I've never thought about it like that. But it is, really.
Yeah.
Like, Diana was like a witch trial,
Yep.
and so was Britney Spears.
Yep. And all these child stars that get like, you know, you see them walk into like mental breakdown, suicide, addiction, and then when it happens, they're like, oh, that's a shame. Or
Thoughts
you're a
and
prick.
prayers.
Aye.
Uh-huh.
But you're like, you fucking made them be like that.
The weird one about it is that we don't really do anything to change it, do we?
No.
With like Love Island, how many suicides have been associated with that programme?
Yeah.
Including Caroline Flack, like the presenter, and we've never really, nothing's changed. Still on the TV, still
Yeah.
doing the same shit. In fact, fucking Michael Owen's daughter she's supposed to be like 19, and they paired her up with a 27-year-old man,
Yeah.
which people were like, don't like this.
It's sus, isn't it?
It's super sus, mate.
Yeah. Because I can't think of any other shows off the top of my head, but as soon as something bad happens, I mean, Jeremy Kyle's a lump of cancer, right? But as soon as he gets found out, he get cancelled. But what's the difference with Love Island? Because they're also promoting this fake image of, I mean, first and foremost, I've never watched it, right? So there we go. I've probably fucked it. But, you know, they're promoting like fake beauty, turkey teeth, fake tits, six packs, some stuff that is no normal. And I feel bad in saying that as well, because see the host, the Scottish comedian,
Oh, what's his name?
I've had an absolute brain fart there.
I know who you're talking about.
Could you quickly?
Ian.
Ian Stirling.
There we go.
Ian Stirling is one of the funniest, most down to earth people that I've ever met in my life, and he's actually went out his way to be very kind to me. So
Right.
I don't think he would ever listen to this. I felt a wee bit bad in saying that, but he's a good guy. And see, the thing is, see if I get offered that, I'd be like, welcome to Love Island, yay!
I think you'd be a good presenter on Love Island. But you're right. Like, I mean, I'm a Celebrity is another one where we're getting people whose stars have faded dangling a carrot at like 20, 30 grand. A lot of them need it, right? Some of them don't. Some of them go into it voluntarily. There's nothing wrong with that. You're an adult if you're like, do you know what? I quite fancy going into the jungle and eating insects and just sort of like, that looks like fun to me, and go and do it. Some of them do it because out of desperation, because they need the money. And we sit, and I mean, this is a stereotype, but people sit and stuff their face watching Z-list celebrities eat insects
Yeah.
and be like, and sort of revel in their terror.
Yeah.
It's a weird, we're fucking weird, aren't we?
Very weird. And it's so shit. Like, it's not enjoyable. I'm not saying, like, I don't want to sound bitter. I'm not bitter, right? but it's like you try to be an actor, you try to be a comedian, and you try to create stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people write scripts and go through all these rewrites. I know comedians that have took years to write a script, and then you'll get fucking Tommy Sheridan eating a fucking Pringle with a bit of Beatles shite at it, and that goes viral. You're like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Royal School of Art, Music and Drama for 9 years for that. I never went to that school, but you know what I mean.
Right. No, I do know what you mean. It's like you dedicate your life to something, and then it's like the lowest rung on the ladder is what gets all the attention. Just this pure shitey culture, like of laughing at people that have been successful and are no longer successful, and sort of I'm going to vote them off, and it's a weird. I'm with you, mate. I've seen probably the total sum of about 45 minutes of Love Island in passing.
Uh-huh.
And it's gross, mate. I did used to watch Geordie Shore,
Mm-hmm.
and I was young, like I was in my early to mid 20s, and I watched Jersey Shore, and then I watched Geordie Shore, and it was the same sort of thing, mate. They used to be like, the favourite bits of these TV shows were watching them in the gym. It's almost like Instagram, right? It's like their workouts, them pulling birds, them being on a night out, and then them fighting. And see, when you think about like viral videos that we sit and we watch, it's like workout video of people being messy drunk, videos of people fighting, and we love them.
Yeah.
And that TV show was like all about that, added into the tan, the six pack.
Yeah.
But the apparent mental illness that was on display was never really sort of spoke about.
Yeah.
It was just just pure, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to be ripped, tanned, young, beautiful, going out, taking, like these, the thing about it was, it came out years later that they were all after nut and coke. And obviously MTV wasn't fucking showing you them nipping to the bathroom for a line, but they definitely were all, that's how they maintain that lifestyle. So now we've got like young guys and women that are thinking that that's the ideal and pursuing that, no realising that, one, they are rich people, or they're getting paid a lot of money to do that, and it's carefully orchestrated to look like they're partying 24/7, but they're no. They're probably going out like once or twice a week, and it's getting edited down to make it look like a full week. And two, they're sustaining that through coke, which is not good for your mind.
No.
So, no, well, that's the lifestyle that people chase now, mate. I don't really, I'm really worried about things like cocaine use and young people, and how this sort of like fake euphoria of like, I'll explain what I mean by that. I went to see a band just before COVID kicked in like January 2020. It's a band called DMAs. So they're like an Australian indie band. And it was a weird eye-opening experience for me, because I've been going to gigs like you when we were talking about when we were younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're the perfect person to really talk about with us, of like actually going and having an experience, like totally in the moment, gone wild in a crowd, coming out covered in sweat, not giving a fuck what you look like. Everybody's just pure, oh my God. I went to this gig, and there were people there that were in that sort of category and were doing that, but there was also the majority of people which were doing this weird performative like enjoyment. Like there was like a bit where, this is what I mean by this. There was a group of about 5 or 6 guys, and the guy gave his phone to this lassie that was with him and went 2 seconds, and they all took their taps off, and he went down and he picked his mate up on his shoulders, and he was go for it. And when she hit record on the phone, they started going fucking mental in the crowd. And then when she stopped, they were like, right, and they were watching the video in the middle of a fucking gig, mate.
That's crazy.
And I was like, what the fuck? I was like to my missus, what the fuck was that? Did you just see that? And she was like, I did. That's like, I'm ignoring that.
That's different level. We never got, when I was a boy, we never got that when we went to gigs.
So why did we go to gigs?
Fun.
To enjoy ourselves.
Enjoy it.
I think some people are now going to these events for content.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Because I've seen someone in a restaurant, see when they take pictures of their I take pictures of my dinner and I've put it on Instagram. Everybody's done it, right? You done it last night with a bar of chocolate, you dirty bastard.
It wasn't a bar of chocolate, mate. It was, well, it was, but it was cannabis infused chocolate.
Oh, was it?
Aye, did you not see the end date where I zoomed into the 500 milligram?
Oh no, I was just blackout with the chocolate. I was like, yeah, bastard.
Look at that dairy milk. See, instead of saying Cadbury's, it says cannabis dairy milk.
Did it?
Aye, go and look at it if you want me.
Look, I'm dyslexic, mate. I'm dyslexic.
That bastard's putting chocolate.
I know. I was like, who's having a cheat meal? Never realised you were having a wee bake.
That's why I replied saying 1 square of this will be got to sleep.
All right.
You pure
I'm a
what this
fucking idiot.
fucking weirdo all about.
I know. I'd be scudding the fucking wrapper. Aye, there we go.
So-
Red group, ladies and gentlemen.
Aye, restaurant.
I have seen someone take a picture of their dinner with some type of apparatus that was lighted. It was like a self-tape camera that you attach your phone to, but they had it kind of like this microphone. Say the microphone's a camera, and that was the plate. So they press a light, and it made their dinner look fucking amazing because it was in a top restaurant. But aye, it's mental. I seen a gig the other day actually. It was Coldplay, funnily enough, Chris Martin. I think he was doing a gig in Argentina or something. Everybody knows they're cheesy. I actually quite like Coldplay.
So do I, mate.
I like Coldplay. And they're, for every ticket they sell with their concert tickets, they plant a tree with one tree planted. So
Fucking brilliant.
they're doing a deal.
I would like to see gigs be like no phones.
That's what he did. He got to
Right.
one of their most popular songs, right? They started it, and about a minute in, he was like, cut. He's like, look, guys, get your phone out for any other song, but can I just ask you for a moment? Do you think we could enjoy this moment without a phone? Let's try it for one song. He's like, come on, we'll never be back here again.
That melts my brain. Let's try it for one song. Put your phone away, guys. Just for one song.
Yeah.
That melts my brain, mate.
That must be distracting if you're a performer. 60,000 fucking lights shining in your face. I love when comedians get those bags. Louis C.K. puts it in a bag, gets you to put a phone in the bag before the gig, and the security gives you the bag, and you can't open it. And Dave Chappelle does it as well.
I'd like to see that. I get tickets to see, talking about gigs and just you mentioning Chappelle, I get tickets to the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert at Wembley
Oh, aye.
in September, and Chappelle's opening.
No way. Brilliant.
So Chappelle's opening, and then the Foo Fighters are going to come on stage with a bunch of special guests, and might be the last time that they ever play.
Wow. Is the money gone towards his family and
I
stuff?
think so, mate. Aye.
That's good.
It's not like fucking Dave Grohl needs the cash.
Aye.
But I've like disconnected myself for that story so much. Like, Foo Fighters are my favourite band in the world, mate.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl's one of my heroes. And to think, even just to imagine how full circle that's been for him. Like, that band started because his bandmate and one of his best friends died of suicide and was a heroin addict, and it looks to me like something bad has happened to Taylor Hawkins when he got found in a hotel room dead, and he nearly overdosed in 2003 or 2004 in London, and he's had a history of heroin addiction. So poor Dave Grohl, mate.
That must be. Plus, Dave Grohl is the ultimate professional. Seems like a lovely human being. Never had any trouble. He's never been a bad person. He's never had any shit happen. And I think if I was him, I can't do people's thinking for them, but if I was in that situation, I'd be like, do you know what? I'm in my 50s. I've earned my money. I think that's me.
Yup.
I'd go to Hawaii and just chill.
I'd hate to see that.
Because he is a genius, isn't he?
Aye, mate.
Dave, that's the level of genius that goes unappreciated because he's so good at what he does. It's just accepted and it's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
Anything he touches is gold, from Nirvana right up to anything that he's done has been amazing. Was he no involved with Queens of the Stone Age?
He drummed on the album Songs for the Deaf, which is a fucking, what an album that is.
Yeah.
Like, incredible.
So wee cameos like that just amazing.
He's in another band as well called Them Crooked Vultures, with Josh for Queens of the Stone Age and John Paul Jones for Led Zeppelin.
Holy fuck.
And I seen them in the Edinburgh Corn Exchange. And as much as you listen to the albums and it's not going to blow your mind because it's like three guys under 50, well, John Paul Jones will be in his 70s, whatever. It's not like groundbreaking stuff, but seeing them play live, I mean, there was like a 30-minute jam between John Paul Jones, who's one of the greatest bass players of all time, and Dave Grohl, one of the greatest rock drummers of all time. And it was just like, mate, I could have just fucking jizzed in my drawers right there. But you're right, everything that guy has done. Probot, you ever heard Probot?
No.
He did a metal album in like 2005.
I'm going to note that so I don't forget that. Probot, I'm going to listen to that.
And Them Crooked Vultures. Have a listen to that shit, man.
Getting about it, folks, if you're listening, because sometimes I forget, like, I mean, obviously people are listening to this, but when you bring up a band or I bring up a film, people are saying, I watched that film. I'm like, it's pretty cool.
Aye, it's pretty cool, but I'm looking forward to it, mate. The reason I wouldn't normally pure pander to like a gig, £100 a ticket and going to Wembley. I did that one time, Muse,
aye.
And it was like Biffy Clyro and Muse. And I travelled all the way to London and it's like a 2-day thing, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, looking back for it, just being like, that isn't what I like about music. I prefer the bars. Like that. So I'm just kind of like, I don't, even the Hydro, unless it's something super special, I'm just like, nah, I'm alright. Fuck it. But this, I was like, that band has had such an impact on my life that I need to go to this. Like, it's got to be like a fucking pilgrimage. Like, I need to go. First time I seen Foo Fighters was in 1997. And supporting the Prodigy. I always say the Prodigy.
I'm the same.
Prodigy.
The Prodigy.
Aye, but it's the Prodigy. I seen them support them in the exhibition centre. My brother-in-law was like, that guy was in Nirvana, and I was like,
wait a minute,
what guy?
Was that a Monday night?
Oh, fuck, it might have been. I can't remember.
Because I think I might have been at that gig. I seen the Prodigy at
exhibition centre.
Aye,
it would have been.
It was a Monday night. It was Carnage.
I can't remember. It was definitely fucking Carnage, man. Their gigs, mate. Wow. And then Keith Flint, another one, man. Another one gone.
I only found out recently that was suicide. I never knew that.
Oh, did you know, mate?
I did not know that. Like last week, I found that out. I thought that was a drug death or whatever.
Can you imagine, like, somebody of that cultural impact, such as Keith Flint, Firestarter? That was like that. The world changed, and like when he came on screen and was doing Firestarter, the same way that it changed when the Sex Pistols went on the TV. It was like our generation's Sex Pistols. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? The success, the gigs, mate. I went to see them at T in the Park one night. They headlined NME stage. It was Massive Attack. Was it Massive Attack? It was. I think it was Kasabian, Massive Attack, and then them. And it was like, you want to talk about carnage, man. It was limbs. The cunts were going fucking crazy for them.
Yeah.
And that guy still struggled. Just not like, see, if you're depressed, like nothing penetrates it, man. Like nothing gets to it. All the success in the world, it just doesn't get to it, man. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Which, because I get a lot of people, maybe older family members, that will be like, I don't understand depression. If you're sad, you should talk to someone. I try to say it's a chemical reaction in your brain. It's like being blind and trying to tell a blind guy to see. You can't just talk about it. Sometimes it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to a gig by yourself?
I've got separated.
But you've never
people
bought a ticket and went, fuck it, I'm going myself?
No, I've always went with people.
Never.
I would do it.
Yeah.
100% I would do it.
I've not done it many times. I think I've done it twice. One was Hans Zimmer, and it was on my birthday. It was my birthday's the 19th of June.
Right.
Sunday. I'm 35 on Sunday. That's mental. I got a ticket for Hans Zimmer, and I went to the Hydro by myself. I just love Hans Zimmer. When I took DMT, I hope the Sun are not going to do a fucking story on this. when I took DMT for the first time, I listened to Time by Hans Zimmer, and it altered my soul. And I've always loved his movies and films and all that. And I went there that night. I actually felt like I don't want anybody to be with me to distract me from this. I want to take it in. And it was brilliant. And then I went to see an orchestra at the Royal Concert Hall as well. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a London. No, it wasn't them. I got it for 20 quid.
Right.
Went down, sat in the front row. As you can tell, I'm mad for soda water, right? Get a bottle of soda water, like a litre bottle of soda water, sat in the front row and watched this fucking 60 strong orchestra, and it was brilliant.
Aye,
like, I could literally touch the fucking trumpet player. I was actually talking to cunts. I was like, aye, fuck it. You only live once, didn't you?
Aye,
They're like,
mate.
aye, good on you, pal.
That's brilliant, mate.
Amazing. How long have we done?
50 minutes.
50 minutes, man. Holy fuck. Aye, I can't believe I'm 35 on Sunday, mate. Absolutely mental. Someone gave us a nice compliment yesterday, though. Just said, you don't look 35, mate. And I was like, I think 6 years sobriety's maybe helped. And I was like, what age do you think I'm at? 39. I was like, what?
I was going to say, maybe the hair transplants helped.
Aye, the hair transplants helped. Sorry, I says 39 because you're 39.
Aye, that's all right, mate. Don't worry about it. Fucking dick. I'm kidding on. How do you feel about Sunday then?
Do you know, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm never going to be one of those people that are devastated about getting older. Do you know what? It's the process of life. I'm happy. This has been the most at peace I've ever been in my life. It's just the nature of growing up. And fuck it. Like, I'll get a cake, I'll watch a film, and I'll chill out. I don't know if I've said this before in the podcast. I think I've kind of glanced over it. But my granddad died on my birthday.
Oh, did he?
When I was younger.
Oh, that's a shame, mate.
10 years old.
Fuck, man.
We'll wrap up with the podcast with this story. But,
Okay.
aye, like my granddad who inspired me with comedy and like loved Charlie Chaplin and the Marx Brothers and stuff. Very funny guy. Used to walk about with like fake props and do amazing voices and stuff. I had an uncle, right, called Jerry he had mental health problems through alcohol addiction.
Right.
And he had to get a jag in his arse every 2 weeks because he would see things like Jesus coming out the
Right,
wall.
okay.
But, you know, one of the kindest, most gentle human beings I've ever met in my life. Very kind, very funny as well, by the way. Funny guy. Sadly passed away as well. And I'm in the kitchen, I'm doing the dishes, right, for my ma. And Jerry, like a silverback gorilla, runs into my house with a bag. And he's like, hey, you'll never guess what. So obviously, because it's my birthday, I'm standing there. I see a bag, and I think my Uncle Jerry's got me a birthday present. And he does that. Oh, your granddad died. I was like, what? And he's like, your granddad died last night. He was going to go to Blackpool with your gran, but he tripped there the suitcase and he had a heart attack and he died in the room. Happy birthday. Like that. Cheers, Jerry.
Oh, for fuck's sake, mate. Wow.
So there we go.
Is that devastating? Must have been.
Aye, it was pretty devastating, aye. I mean, I've spoke about that on stage and stuff, and I've made a joke about it. I can see the humour in the madness of that situation now, and I do find it quite funny, as horrible as that is.
Aye, mate. Is that how your grandpa died?
Yep.
I'm struggling not to point out the irony that he was like a Charlie Chaplin fan and that sort of slapstick, and he died tripping over a fucking suitcase.
Well, there you go.
I'm struggling not to point that out.
In a room full of props, probably, because he had like posters and wigs and
Right.
like all that shit.
But that was your inspiration as well for
Yeah.
comedy and stuff. Fuck's sake, mate.
That felt a lot funnier in my head, by the way. I felt like that was just a thing that I said, and I was like, fuck, that's actually really horrible. And aye, but I found the funny side.
Aye, if you can see the funny side and stuff, if there's something that is genuinely funny in a tragic situation, seeing that is part of healing. Being able to see that shows that you're over it.
Mhm.
Really, if you can start to be like, it's kind of funny that my mentally ill uncle came in on my birthday with a bag and was like, guess what? And I was like, and he's like, your grandpa's dead. Happy birthday. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, by the way, Jerry was the guy, if you're listening, if you've listened to all the podcasts, Jerry's the guy that I had that dream about.
Right.
So I think it's called a visitation dream.
Mm-hmm.
So aye, cheers for that, Jerry. Happy birthday. I used to say mad things like, because he was quite overweight, and he's like, I'm a 28 and a waist. And my uncle would be like, is that only one half of you, you fucking madman?
One of your legs.
Aye. So I've got a strange family that I love very much. So I think we've done nearly an hour.
Aye, mate.
I don't really have anything else to say, troops, apart from if you enjoy the podcast, please like and review. We've had a surge of that stuff recently, and it really, really helps us. I just want to thank Mr. Junk for sponsoring the podcast again. Their details will come up on the screen and on the link of Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you need shit removed for your house, give them a phone. And yes, thank you very much. I start my tour in Greenock tomorrow. So thanks for the support. Thanks for the love. And thank you for being my friend. That was cheesy as fuck, wasn't it? Cheers, Paul.
Cheers, mate.
I love you.
Love you too.
Get your banger out.